Hello and welcome to a Life Too Sweet podcast. My name is Dana and I am a Christian. I am a conservative and I am overcoming some amazing things because of God and returning back to God, returning back to the Father by repenting and forgiving my mother for turning me away from my father and apologizing to her for resenting her for it, because I resented her, I resented men, I hated men, and I ended up being a lot like my mom, right? I took on a lot of her identity, and there were things that I didn't like, and so returning back to the Father has really changed me, and in the beginning, I noticed my anger was gone and I loved. And I have a whole transformation series, if you want to check that out, is on my YouTube channel, as well as a Life Too Sweet coaching podcast, just like these are as well. And in that whole transformation, I just talked about the beginning parts. And at first, it was just the anger was gone like that. And me having perfect peace and perfect love, those things came right away. But lately, I've been going through the part of the repentance, and an interesting part is God does some really cool stuff, and I'm kind of understanding what it is now as he's doing it and what's going on. So I thought I would maybe explain a little bit about it, because I have a big ego, right? We have an ego, and that comes from Satan, right? The voices in our head, the thoughts in our head are from Satan, and he gets me to have this like pride, and I feel like, I'm better than, and I know the answers. And I've noticed one thing that kept coming up, like Satan kept putting this in my head over and over, and it just like, you need to do this, and if, trying to get everybody to come to God and repent and stuff, and I'm going to tell them how to go to God. And I've noticed that this is something that I kind of been struggling with, and I know it, and once I knew it, I was like, not taking my time to be with God. And God is really in the presence, and God is the best way to have a relationship with God and to get with him is to get the voices, Satan in my head, the thoughts in my head, to slow down. And the only way to really do that is to have nothing going on, no TV on, don't look at my phone, don't go on social media, and just sit there. And then God kind of reveals stuff, and he was revealing that. He was letting me see it. And this is really cool, because Satan was in my head and I couldn't even sleep. I mean, I would wake up thinking, or I got to tell my family this, I got to tell my brother this, and I got to tell them this so that they'll return to God. And, I'm going to tell people this so that, it'll change the world. And just like my little ego, like, it seems so huge. And I started seeing that. And so I like to try to take an hour a day and just spend that little time with God and don't turn on anything. And that's really when he reveals things. And he really was revealing, how egotistical that was, and how wrong it was, and how that wasn't from him. Because now I'm starting to hear the Satan in my head, and I can see, sometimes I don't know where he's going with it. He just comes up with stuff and then I get lost in it. But I've noticed lately I haven't been really as lost in it, but at times I get lost in it, and that was the thing that I was really getting lost in. And I kind of sat with him and just sat on my couch and didn't do anything a few days ago, and I started realizing, wow, I have a really big ego, and I'm really trying to control everything. Still trying to control. And what God does is he shows it to me, and then once I realize it, it's like, that's when I repent, because I realize that it's wrong, and that's it. And I don't judge myself, because once I judge myself, that's when I'm playing God. And so I judged it at first, but then after I just kind of watched it and I just saw, okay, that's what I'm doing. So I'm able to just kind of look at it and see what's going on. And it's really interesting to see, and it's cool because he starts taking away that ego, and I notice like the thoughts go away. And first it would seem like I would still get the thoughts, but they were like, it was like the voice was lower almost, kind of. And when I say like the voices in my head, I'm talking about your thoughts, right? And your thoughts, if you listen to them, you'll notice like it's your thoughts are not yours. You'll notice this as you go, And but the cool thing about the voices and the thoughts in my head, they it got like really low, and then now I'm able to just like not listen to it, just be like, okay, that's Satan. And so it's really cool. I realized too, usually when I wake up, Satan's in my head, man. He's going and going. He's like, you got to do this. And he starts getting me into politics and stuff like that, because there's a lot of politics stuff going on right now that's like kind of making me think. And it's like right when he gets that, he's going to get me mad. And then, he tries to get me angry so that I hate these people, right? So I hate the Democrats, or I'll hate a different race, or whatever Satan's got in my head. He tries to take what I hear and kind of twist it. And so I've been waking up all night, in the middle of the night, for the past few nights. Before last night, 2 nights before, I was waking up thinking about this stuff, and it was like I couldn't I just couldn't stop listening. It was just so much chaos. So, and I know that Satan does not want, they do not want to die. The ego does not want to die, right? These spirits do not want to die. They want to stay. And I could feel it, because he was going overtime once I started repenting, and as God's taking away those spirits, they're fighting hard, and it was really crazy. So last night I woke up. This morning I woke up, and I realized so many of those thoughts weren't coming in my head, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Now I was getting little thoughts, like the political thoughts were kind of going away, and some of the little thoughts were coming that I didn't say the right things. Like when I went to my father's birthday party at my parents' house, and it's like, I was like, well, maybe I didn't say the right things so that people will listen, so maybe they'll return back to God. And, and Satan uses that. And so I started realizing that he was kind of throwing that back at me again. And I remember I have to just be like, okay, the past is the past. And Satan loves to bring us back to the past. He loves to bring me back to the things that I did in the past, situations I had in the past. And he'll say, hey, see, you didn't say this. And if you would have said that, then he would have listened to you. And this one would have listened to you. And it's like me trying to control, right? That's the ego, the controlling ego. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you notice it, but look at women that your mother, your family. We love to control things. And women will use certain things to control the man. And I see it. It's funny, as I was just listening to Jesse Lee Peterson today, and it was a guy on, and he was basically telling the same story of my parents, and and he was talking about what his wife was doing to him now that he has a kid, and how she was trying to control things, and then how she did it. And it was just like, oh my God, that's exactly the way my mom did to my father. Exactly. And, I was starting to see it. And so it's really crazy when I see that what I saw, and I see it in me so much. I see my controlling nature. And then I see it in my family members, I'll see it, the same controllingness that my mother had, but maybe one little piece and stuff. So it's interesting to see. And it's like with God, it's like, as a spirit, I'm like the observer, like somebody who's supposed to be looking at it and seeing the truth, but not trying to control the truth, because I cannot control the truth. Because the only one that control the truth is God, and the only one that controls the lies are Satan. And so I'm either going to be controlled by God or controlled by Satan. And with God, I'm an observer, but with Satan, I'm the creator, which I'm not the creator. It's not even real, right? It's he's the one that's creating it. And I'm like lost in this, but I'm seeing it now. But I want to control it, because I have that controlling nature, as many women do. And of course, there's men that have certain nature. Now, the thing of really what happens with the man is he gets the woman's nature. And which is Satan's nature. And so that's what happens. And I can give you a little understanding of that, like in the Old Testament and Genesis, how it talks about the woman was deceived by Satan, right? And well, let's go to this. So Adam was created by God, and then Eve was created through the man, through the rib, right? Through the man. And then when Satan first they were connected with God, right? Adam was connected to God. He had that connection with God. Remember, they talked with each other back and forth in the garden, right? Then he created the woman through the man. And then he said, do not eat from the fruit, right? Do not eat from the knowledge of good and evil. The knowledge of good and evil, you do not eat from that tree. So what happens? Satan comes, right? Deceives the woman. And then what happens to the woman, right? She becomes subject to Satan, right? She has his nature now. She's subject to Satan because she believed in the lie. She believed in the lie, and Satan's a liar, right? Satan's a liar. He says, you want to know the difference between good and evil? And the difference between good and evil is not good. Just the knowledge of it is not good, right? That's reading the Bible, understanding, okay, this is what good is and this is what evil is. That's the knowledge, which isn't good. Then, remember then when Adam it went to Eve, and Eve was like, here, have some of that, whatever fruit it was. Once he took that fruit, now he separated from God and became subject to the woman because he believed in her lie. And so now Adam is subject to Eve, to the woman. The man is subject to the woman. And that is what happens in our world today. Now what happened, of course, we know that Jesus came down and he made it all back to normal. He came down, was perfect, died for our sins because we did that, right? We're backwards. We're off now. But Jesus came down, the Son of God, came down, died, conquered death, conquered hell, then came back and gave us the Spirit. And so now, once he said it was done, it's done. He already reversed it back. But we are born into sinful families. We're born into the woman. And so now we're born from the woman. We have the woman's nature. Okay. But at first we have a connection with God when we're young. But as we live through life and the woman was messed up by her mother, and now we're subject to her. You notice when you see children are very innocent. You can watch a young child and watch the mother try to teach the child and watch the child be like kind of uncomfortable with it. And you can see they don't have the emotion at the beginning. And then as the kids get older, you start seeing like they start just listening to what the mom says. So like mom will say, oh, go kiss Uncle Joe. Don't you miss him? Like you tell him then he's like, okay, yeah, I miss him. And then you notice like they become more emotional. And you could see it. It's so crazy. But I know it's probably not easy to see it if you haven't returned back to God, but I can see that. So we are born into sin, into the woman, and we're born into some messed up families, right? Because our mothers, had resented their mothers, and it goes on and on and on. And then, so now that the man is subject to the woman, and the woman has Satan's nature. Satan's nature is lies, deceit. Notice women will lie. They can never tell the truth. Women can never admit when they're wrong. And when they do, it's like, oh my God, they admitted they were wrong, And I know it's me too. I'll like almost try to admit it to just to say, see, I admitted it. I do that sometimes, and I notice that with my ego. And I'm seeing it, and God is really showing me. He's been revealing it to me. And so lately it was kind of cool that I'm able to really see my pride and my ego and how destructive it is, because I get to see what Satan does and how he's been destructive. And he's allowed me to be destructive in my life and destructive in those around me. And I'm really grateful that I don't have children, because I bet you I would have ruined them. But it's really an interesting situation. And I thought maybe I would explain that I was going through that where he's taken away that spirit. And it's almost interesting because as he takes it away, I almost forget about it. Like I almost forget about like, wait a minute, what, that spirit he's taken away from me? And I don't want to forget about it. I thought it was cool too. I kind of like doing these podcasts too, because I can put up what I'm going through and what's going on in my life, and how God is taking away those spirits that are destructive, and how he does it. How like at first he made me love and took away my anger. And then now he's taken away the pride and the ego and stuff. And it's really interesting. And I just enjoy the process almost, even though it's painful and it's hard to see at times. Some of them are harder. Some of them I get teary-eyed with this latest one, I got very like my physical, like my my body was almost like not shaking, but like my muscles would kind of twitch. And there was one time where I like said something like just like or something, It's weird. It's really really weird. It's really interesting, but it's very physical. And I think about what Jesus did. He went through a lot of physical pain. And going through the spiritual pain, it's like, okay, if he went through all that pain, then why shouldn't I go through the pain, right? Why shouldn't I be able to feel the pain of the pride that I allowed? And it's like, it's not my fault because Satan, I was brought up into a messed up family like everybody. But as I become an adult and I start seeing that something's not working, it's kind of it's my duty to say, hey, this isn't working. What can I do to make a change? Because I'm seeing the world around me fall apart. I'm seeing myself fall apart. And I keep going to the world and nothing's changing. And like I said before, I did recovery. That didn't help me. I went out to try to find friends, try to DJ. I went to played sports. I tried everything on the outside and nothing worked. I even went to see somebody, a psychologist, like one woman, and I realized like she can't help me. Nobody can help me. What can I do to make these changes? I didn't believe that I couldn't. I didn't believe that I would be angry for the rest of my life. I felt this way like there's got to be a way to not be angry, to not be sad, to not be up and down. And there has to be something to be able to live that way. Why am I not living that way? Why? There's got to be a reason. And so I was asking that question, and I wasn't getting the right answers. And so I tried to look within. And that's when I started seeing things, when I started looking within instead of without. And then now I'm realizing how the world is and how messed up we are and what's going on. And, I listen to different commentators, and different things that are going through in our government and seeing what this Biden regime is doing to our country. And I get some kind of way with it. I start feeling something like, hey, I can see what they're doing. I can see how they're using these crazy words to keep us, in line. And so many people are blind that they can't see. And it's like I have to keep myself focused and realize that all as I can do is do what is in front of me. Do what's here today, live in the moment, live in the spirit, live in God, right? Who is now. Live in the now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and what happened yesterday is over. I know that all I can do is do what's in front of me. That's it. But seeing it and knowing you can do nothing, that's the hard part. Knowing that I can't do anything except for speak truth and love, and that's it. And when I go to work, I just need to work. And when and just be in that moment, right? And when I'm around my family, I just need to be, because giving people truth is just like living my life, right? If I live my life day by day, moment by moment, people will see. And if people want to go to God, they'll go to God. If people do not, they won't. I mean, I had to suffer so much, right? I had to suffer and suffer and suffer until I said, I'm tired of suffering, man. I'm not getting any better. And I had to suffer and die, and he resurrected me. And I had that once to die, once to live. Well, now I get to live, right? Because I was telling people I couldn't wait to die to see God. And I'm thinking, man, what a horrible way to live. Now that I look back at it, what a horrible way to live, right? It's a horrible way to live. I'm going to live to die. Crazy, huh? Crazy. But that's how I was living. That is how I was living. I was living to die. And so I don't even know where I'm going fully with this podcast, but I feel like cool things are happening within me, and I'm starting to be able to be that observer a little more instead of being the creator, because I'm not the creator, right? But whenever I start trying to create, I know that my head is going, man. My thoughts are going, and I'm reacting to those thoughts. And that is when I am reacting to Satan, because he thinks that he's God. He thinks he's the controller of the world. But the one that really controls is, if I stay in the moment, God will be the one in control of me. And as I see it, it's really interesting. And just explain this right now is how I'm seeing it like that just now. Just finally I'm able to see it more tangibly, because like I said, it's like he reveals these things and new words come out, new ideas, new ways of explaining things, because I can't use the same words I used when I was living for Satan. Really, like I can't use those same words. Or people will say, like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I don't really feel anything, or what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I was just talking to my brother about my podcast, and he's telling me, if you want to get more viewers, do this, and you should look at this. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing what's in front of me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I'm just going to do it when something comes to me. And lately I've been thinking about changing up my website a little bit. And so I've been feeling it, not thinking about it. And so I just went on there the other day and I started working on some stuff. And then the other day, some like artistic stuff started coming out. And I was thinking, oh, this would be good. And this would be good. And so it wasn't like in my head going, you need to go on your website. And so I'm starting to realize the difference between when God reveals to when Satan talks to me. And so it was interesting to like really listen to my brother saying those things, like about how to get, your YouTube channel higher, and you should do this and you should make it this. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, listen, one ear, in one ear, out the other. And I'm just like, I could just go with that and start going online and looking at people, because that's what I did before. Like, well, this is how you get more viewers. But I just listened and I thought, okay, I didn't think much about it. Nothing bad, nothing good. Just, it was there. And I'm like, that's exactly how God is. That's how exactly when I'm living in God. It's just like, I'm just there. Another thing that happened, I talked with my mom yesterday, and she was like, so do you get bored alone? And I'm thinking, I don't get bored. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't get bored. I don't know. It's like the word boredom doesn't happen. I don't know. It's just like, it just is. I was like, I don't really know how to explain this to her, because I don't know what boredom is. I don't really have boredom. But there's times when I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. But it's not like boredom. It's not like a feeling. There's no feeling behind it. There's no emotion behind it. And so when I'm talking to somebody who's an emotional person, what word do I use? I don't even know what words to use. It's like being a new person. It is being a new person. I'm not the same anymore, right? I'm not the same, because before I would feel some type of way, and before I would think about, do I want a roommate? Do I not want a roommate? Like, I know I don't want a roommate. I don't need to deal with any. I don't want to deal with anybody about that. Or the beginning too, I wasn't sure, like, well, what's the relationship going to be like with my family? And am I not going to be able to be around my family? And I'm just like, I went to my father's birthday and I was like, I really like hanging out with my family. I enjoy my family. I enjoy my parents. I do. I enjoy the good, the bad, the ugly. I enjoy it all. So I'm like, okay, if there's ever a time where I'm not comfortable somewhere, then I won't go. And if I am comfortable somewhere, I'll go. Like, it's just, it is what it is, right? I made decisions with the people from church. I realized that being around them it was tough. Like, I went out with one of my friends and I just felt like she's trying to control the situation and I don't want to be around that. And I'm like, I just don't want to be around it. It's not bad. I didn't think anything bad about her. That's her, that's how she wants to live. That's okay. I don't have a problem. I'm not angry with her, not happy with her. Just, it is, it's just like, I was just like, if I hang out with her, it's going to be pure hell. And I don't want to I don't want to be in pure hell, And it's not like I'd be, yeah, it's not like I would be resentful towards her or hateful towards her or anything. I just knew. And then, we were talking about maybe meeting up on a weekend and all going somewhere together. And I knew, I was like, oh, they're going to try to get me back to church. I'm like, do I want to deal with that? And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if that's what they were going to do. But when I was sitting down with my friend, I knew that's what she was doing. She was trying to get me. And so when I went home and I didn't even think about it. I was just like, no, I don't want to hang out with them. I don't want to hang out with them. Because she told me who was going to be there. And I'm thinking, oh man, there's going to be too much. No. So just interesting, situations that are happening that I don't really know how to handle it. But when I get that knowledge of, okay, this is what you need to do, just do it. And I just do it. So it's interesting. And I'm also going through that where Satan's telling me to do some things like I don't know if it's Satan trying to tell me to do my house. Like I wanted to redo my house. And then I'm like, but I really know with Satan, for some reason, he loves to get me to buy stuff, like purchase stuff. Because I keep buying stuff and I'm like, okay, slow down. And I know it's in my head. So I'm starting to catch it even more. And I know I've talked about this before to where I can see the difference between when it's God and when it's Satan. But God's voice gets louder and Satan's voice is getting less. It's getting lower. It's almost, like I said, low. It's like a low volume. But I still do get into my thoughts of this is how I have to handle things and I need to tell this person it this way and I should have told them it. So I'm still listening to Satan telling me that, but it is getting a little bit less, a little bit lighter. And I'm not going off into that thought for a long time because sometimes I'll have a thought and I'll fall into it. And I'm like, it's like an imagination, like you're in your imagination and it's like the story I'm telling myself and it's not even real. It's so funny. And so, I noticed I doing it a little bit less actually yesterday and today, this morning. And sometimes I'll be in it and then I realize like I'm in it again and just kind of look at it and just stop and then go back to where I'm at, So I have to say it's a very interesting situation that's going on. Once I returned back to God, it's been amazing. It really is cool. It's cool to be able to see the world for really what it is and watch the world go crazy. I mean, right now, this is an amazing time in our world. In America, I mean, we are falling into... This is exactly what the Nazis did, okay? I mean, that one actress, she just said that about... I don't even know if that was an old tweet, but she talked about how this political correctness is like... It's like what they did to the Jews. It's like, it's how it started. It's exactly how it started. It's so crazy. If you go and just check out some old videos on what they did, they try to lie about the truth and they talk so loud that people believe it, And I'm watching it going, you believe what they're saying? I mean, they say something like all this racist stuff, and then you go back and look at all the things that happened in the past, and none of it was about race. It was all about power and money. It was all like, wait a minute, these people are going to start getting money, and they went after them because of money, power and money. That was it. It had nothing to do with their race. It never does, okay? It's always power and money, and it's not even real power. Look at me telling you I was in my head with all this stuff. That was all fake. It's all fake. It's all not even real, and we believe it's real. It's so crazy, but when you get to go to God, you can see the world going nuts. I mean, and nobody realizes how deep this goes. Cutting off certain books and cutting off making men and women not separate. This is all a bigger plan. I mean, they've been doing this forever, making the woman the god and making the men weak. And look what happens when men are weak. Because men are over the woman. The man is there to protect the woman, to teach the woman. And you see when the woman tries to become above the man, you see it. Watch your family. See how deceitful your mom is and how your father just sits back and lets her do it. And I see it. You see like a man and a woman talking, and you'll notice the woman will say something like, hey babe, I think we need to do this with our son, and he'll go with it. And then she'll say, yeah, this is what we need to do. We need to have our son do this, this. And then she goes, right, honey? And then he'll go, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And you never hear him say, Well, listen, and be stern with the woman and tell her, like, that's not a good idea, or, let's talk to the son, instead of making the decision. Then they go to the son, and then they make the decision for the son. And then sometimes the son or daughter will be strong enough to say, no, that's not what I want. But a lot of times they don't. And you notice the woman gets her way, and it always turns out bad. Always turns out bad. And so you start seeing these things because there's an order to life. There's an order to life. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, woman over children. It's the order. It's like any animal. They have a certain way that they have instincts. Well, we have an order. And if we don't go through the order, things will come out to be all messed up. And people use words, how deep words are, and how you say racism. And I was watching ESPN, and I couldn't believe what they were saying about with Reagan when they had the war on drugs. They twisted it, saying that they brought that down so that they could they brought crack into the black neighborhood to keep the blacks down so that they can have power. And that's what they said. And that is totally ridiculous. I mean, everybody knows who made crack. I mean, you go check it out. It came from cocaine, and they made it in New York City. There's a whole story about that. And they made it seem like, and then they wanted to put them all in jail. And it's like a conspiracy to put everybody in jail because of their color of their skin. And that wasn't even the truth. I mean, there was a problem. It was going out of control. I mean, the crack pandemic, it was like a pandemic, man. It was out of control in the 80s. It was out of control. There was murders. There was turf wars. So much from this crack cocaine. And they were trying to stop it. I mean, I don't even know how coke got in the towns. I don't know that, to be honest with you. I don't know that. But it makes no sense that crack was made from coke, and in the 80s it got out of control. And it was happening in those communities. It wasn't that white people were going in there and saying, "Hey guys, why don't you go make some crack?" And it's just crazy, and it's not fair to do that to anybody. It's not fair to do that to any race. But what they do is they take that so that you're angry. Oh, those white people are so bad. And this was on ESPN Sports. And I'm like, this is such propaganda bull. And it doesn't do anything but keep people down. And that's exactly what people want. Because if I keep you down, I get power. That's it. I make power and money. How do I make money? Getting power from you. How do you think people like Black Lives Matter? $90 million they made last year. $90 million. And that's all they want is power. That's what they want. They want power and money. You're not going to see the communities change. You're not going to see it because they don't want it to change. They want your money and they want power. And that's it. And that power that they get, that's fake power, because they're going to be miserable people and they're going to catch hell for it because they're doing evil. And that's just the way it is. But when you return back to God, you can see this stuff, and then we can find a way to fight it. I'm telling you, this country is getting out of control, and they're trying to put fear in you. They're trying to fear in you. They're trying to separate you. And the only person that's making money are those people, that small group of people that are going to say, I'm your leader. And what do you think is going to happen now? You think Black Lives Matter is going to be the leader of the black community? They're going to watch their communities go down, and they're going to be laughing at you because they're rich. Look at how rich they are. And they're going to make your community fall apart. It's all for power and money. Just like Jesse Jackson, same thing. They all did it for power. And now white people are falling back going, yeah, we're bad people because we're white. And they got you. They got you in fear, and they're going to take your stuff because they know you need your stuff. White people have to have their stuff. I got to have my nice car. And they know you need your stuff. They know you want your house, and you're not willing to lose anything. If you're not willing to lose anything, we got you. And the only way to get your stuff back is to return back to God. And I'm not talking about your stuff, but if you want to be able to live in this world and change this, we have to return back to God. That's just the way it is. We have to forgive, repent, and then we can see truth, and we can be logical instead of emotional. and not listen to you're racist, you're sexist, you're homophobe, you're all this craziness. We need to change genders of children. I mean, this is just getting out of hand, and people don't realize how big it is, but you'll know, you'll get it once you return back to God. I am telling you, it is very awesome. It's an amazing thing. I know you will be so grateful when you return back to God. You won't have anger, no fear, no ups and downs. You won't have mental illness. It's all a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle, spiritual issue. We are in a spiritual warfare, and the only way for us to overcome is to return back to God. And I always promote Jesse Lee Peterson because he's the one that kind of helped me return back and figure out what my issue were and who I was, what my issue was, and that I needed to forgive my mother, which I knew I had anger with my mother. But I had to look within. And so Jesse Lee Peterson is awesome to listen to. He has the JLP show on the East Coast. It is from 9 to 12. And so I watch him, and he really helps. He really explains things. Oh my God, it's so amazing. And then he has church on Sundays on Bond Rebuilding the Man. You can check it on his website, also on YouTube. Amazing, amazing church services. What church is supposed to be. Really, it's not, he's not a preacher preaching from a pulpit telling you what you're supposed to think and how you're supposed to interpret the Bible. No, it brings you back to God, and that's who interprets everything for us. And it's so, so awesome. You want to know truth? You want to see things? Oh my goodness. God will show you. Whew, be careful what you wish for, though, man. I'm telling you. And I say this, if you really want to return back to God, realize that you're going to see truth. And some people aren't ready to see truth 100%. It's not easy. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy seeing truth because you can do nothing. You cannot change anything. Only God can do it. And that's hard for people to see. And I can understand. But if you want to be free, if you want to have perfect peace, know what perfect love is, know God, live instead of be dying. Live instead of die. Live on this earth and enjoy life. I would guarantee you. My guarantee, Dana, a life too sweet guarantee. Your life will be amazing. You will love life. You will be so excited to wake up in the morning, go to work. It's so awesome. I go to work and I don't care. Like, I'm not going, oh, I got to go to work, or, oh man, it's going to be a long day. Oh man, I got to go get this patient. I don't do that anymore. It's so awesome just to enjoy my job. I enjoy going to work, or driving. I enjoy driving. It's even funny when people cut me off. It's just so amazing, man. You can't put it in words. You can't put being a Christian into words. There's no words to being a Christian and knowing God. I don't know. I mean, Jesse Lee Peterson uses amazing. I don't even know if that's good enough. So it's awesome. So I suggest, and my suggestions are nothing. I'm just a child of God, right? But I would suggest try to do the silent prayer that Jesse Lee Peterson has, and find out who you are, and ask him, hey man, I want to see myself, and he'll help you see yourself. Also, I do recommend finding out who you need to forgive and forgiving them, and realizing that I was wrong. I was judging. I apologize for resenting. And because it could be your father too. I mean, for me, it was my mom. Most people, it's the mother, I think. But go and see, forgive, repent, return back to God, and life will be amazing. It will be great. Even the supposed so-called tough times, all the little politics that just went over, like, it makes me like, what is going on in our world? But the fear is gone. I'm not like fearful about it. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen. Things are going to, if we don't wake up, it's just going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And when it gets worse, it's our own fault. We're voting these people in. We're allowing the government to run us. We're allowing black leaders to run us. We're allowing white leaders to run us, right? Groups to run us. The church to keep us here, like in one little spot, and keep the people in the church over to the left. They won't talk about what's going on in the world, and would just take over. And that's what's happening, because The Pharisees of the church aren't going to do nothing. They're going to read their Bible and think they have some purpose and get lost, just like I did. You know, I thought I was going to be a life coach, save the world, and it didn't work. I mean, these people were a mess. I couldn't do nothing for them. But all I can do is, if you want the best coaching advice I could give, return back to God, forgive your mother, return back to your father, live that life, and life will be great. So thank you guys for checking out my YouTube channel, A Life Too Sweet, and my website. Actually, yeah, my website, A Life Too Sweet Coaching. I have my podcast on there. And I have on all major podcasting sites. You can check out my podcast, A Life Too Sweet Coaching. So guys, check that out. And soon I will be updating my website and we'll see what's going to go up there. I have no clue. So thank you again, guys, for checking out my YouTube channel and my podcast, A Life Too Sweet Coaching. You guys have a great day. And remember, God is good all the time. I will see you in the next podcast. See ya.